Welcome to another episode of Fight the Burnout. Today we have Rupert on the call. He is the owner and runner of Marketplace Superheroes, and he's going to tell us all about that later on. But he also has a very powerful story around fighting his own burnout and his own journey with that. So he's going to tell us about that today as well. And he's going to walk us through the key things that he does now. He is in South Africa, and so I'm looking forward to this. This is actually the first person that I've interviewed that's living currently in South Africa and from there. So this is going to be a good one, guys. So buckle up, get your notepad out to take some notes so you can take that one thing away. Remember, we're always just taking one thing away from each of these episodes, and we can go back and listen to it again to get more. But we don't want to overburden ourselves, so just take at least one thing away. But without further ado, Rupert, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a bit of your story, how you ended up here, and then we'll kind of go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, dude, that sounds perfect. So thank you so much for having me, man. It's awesome to join you here. All the way from Cape Town, South Africa, as you said. Just love it here. And I've got a lot of friends in New Zealand. Got a lot of friends in New Zealand living there. So we also, whenever we play rugby against you guys, it's always holding our breaths because it's always going to be a serious game. Like, you guys really take that serious. So, but yeah, man, it's the story. It's interesting one, man, because for me, it's always this thing about I wanted to drive and see where I can take myself, which is a good thing. But my story started actually like when I'll start when I had my own business, because that's normally where the burnouts, start to hitting you. So I had my own business. I was installing fiber internet all over South Africa. So I was just from town to town doing that. And business was great. But the first thing that started to bug me was I was never home. I've got kids. I've got a family, wife, 2 kids. And it was always this thing of like, you have to work hard, because it came from a fear. That was the big thing. Growing up for me, my dad was an entrepreneur. So things were super up, super down. We'll have all the money in the world, all the toys you can think of, and then nothing. It's like starting over. So that roller coaster was my drive, that fear, because now I've got kids. And I was like, I don't want to put my kids through that. Yeah. So just of the situation, I found myself like in South Africa, like, in a way, you really have to start your own business if you want to be successful. It's just what it is. I don't want to dive too deep into that. That's why I had my business, and I was just working like a maniac. Like, people are asking, "Oh, what's your hours?" I'm like, "Well, whenever I'm awake, what's my hours?" Because I was so afraid of putting my kids through what I've been through, that unstable roller coaster up and down, that I was constantly just working. Like a maniac. But then while doing that, not having any balance whatsoever, not being there for them. So I was just working like a crazy man. So what happened to me, call it luck, call it fate, call whatever you want. But for me, I came across a very young guy. For me, I'm 36. He was like 21, 22 at the time. So I was also younger at the time for sure. But he was like a good 10 years younger than me. And he was always home. Now, this was before COVID. I'm not sure if you guys listening can remember the times when people used to be at work and not at home, right? The good old days. Feels like so long ago, man. But yeah.
It does.
So I came across him, and he was always home. And I was installing, fiber as well and carrying on with that. And it bugged me. He's so young. He's always home. Clearly, financially, he's doing very well. If just look at his home and all that. So I just asked him, like, hey, what do you do for a living, man? Like, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but in my mind, it's like, yeah, maybe he's working for his dad's company, or maybe inherited money, or all the cliche stuff, which is terrible. But just being honest here, And then he told me about, no, I'm selling on Amazon, and my mind completely exploded. I'm like, what? Like, on Amazon, like, and. I didn't want to bombard him with 1,000 questions, but I had 1,000 questions at the time. I'm just like, South African, you can do that. I thought it was big corporates. And then he was carrying on saying, yeah, and even selling globally. I'm looking now at Europe, and I'm like, okay, whoa. Like, for me, a global business is, here's my big building, 1,000 employees. That's a global business. Not, here's a kid with his laptop, chilling at home. That just, to me, It was unbelievable. So I didn't make much of that conversation. I just carried on with my business, and then hit my very first serious burnout, and decided just to sell my business to my biggest competitor. They bought it from me, and then they gave me they offered me an 8 to 5 job, which was close to home. So I figured, well, that's going to be super easy. 8 to 5, like that hours, geez, that's my warm-up hours, right? This is going to be a bit of a holiday. So I started doing that, and I just found myself being super unhappy again because the pace was slow. It was just super slow. Like corporate, it's like we could have just sent the email for this. Why are we having a 4-day strategy call on this? Like, this doesn't make sense. So everything was just so slow. So for me, it was all about balance, man. It was a huge thing to find balance. And that's where I realized, you know what? I made a mistake, but I can't go back the way I did things because that also didn't work. Is there a way to find balance? That was the big question. Is there a way I can have time? I can have money. I can actually spend time with my family. Is there something like that? And that's when I remember that conversation I had with that guy. And I'm like, I don't want to mention his name here because I don't know. But I reached out and I was like, man, do you mind? You can't say no. I completely understand. I'm sure a lot of people are asking you. And he sort of directed me, like I was struggling, to get like answers because, he was a bit like I don't know, like his time is obviously very precious to him, which I completely respect, and he's always doing something fun. So he really didn't have a lot of time to coach me or help me or anything like that. He tried, I'll definitely give him to that at time he had, but he was always on a mission, which is great. You should do that. So, and that's what I wanted. So I jumped online, looking for a coach, a mentor, someone to help me. Because for me, I completely believe in mentorship, coaching.
Yeah.
That to me, every area in your life, it's just a must. It's just what it is. And we'll definitely dive into that because I feel that's the key to anything, But reaching out, and then I came across this company, these two guys that sounded different because they were Irish. And they were like, doing amazing things on Amazon. So started, coaching and mentoring and getting that from them, and that was fantastic. That changed it. So dive into the online world. I quit my job, my day job, that one I had, which is fantastic. And then COVID hit, and that was an interesting journey as well, for sure, man. Like the online world exploded, so there were a lot of opportunity, which was the one thing I would say that was completely great about that. But that also gave you an opportunity to connect with people all over the world, which is what I love, man. Now I'm a guy from South Africa. I'm connecting with, sometimes I have to Google like what the town is because I've never heard of it before.
That is
and
awesome.
that to me is how incredible the world has changed, because I really want to see it, the positive. The positive is me speaking to someone in New Zealand, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And like the world has changed and there's good in it. It's not, I know there's a lot of bad, I do understand that, but focusing on the good. I've got my Amazon business now, which is fantastic, but then I get to connect with people all over the world, which is massive to me. If you told me 10 years ago this is going to happen, I'll be like, that's crazy. That will never happen. So awesome, man. So that's a long story.
There's a few things out of that I want to jump back. Like we'll jump back into a few little bits of that. I'm just taking some notes here.
Sure, man.
So let's go back to you're running your own fiber, putting fiber optic, in running your own business and that. And then you start to kind of get that burned out, and then you end up selling the company. So tell us a little bit about that burnout, that burnout time specifically, and how you kind of identified it.
So the big thing for me, man, was just it identified it by realizing that, why am I feeling this way all the time? Like,
what was that feeling?
Sleep, overwhelm, complete overwhelm all the time. The smallest thing feels completely overwhelming to me. At the time, it didn't feel like it was small. At the time, it felt like it's huge.
Yeah. You look back now and you go, oh, that was actually really small compared to what I do now.
Like exactly. Like a friend reaching out saying, hey, man, like, what the hell? I haven't heard about anything. What's going on? I'm like, what? do you know what I'm going through? Like, have you an idea? Like how busy I am, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it's blaming everyone else. It's blaming everyone else. It's like always being tired, always being tired, no matter what I do. And it's just this massive, overwhelming feeling of like everything is huge.
So
Everything is huge.
what was it around that time kind of thing? Because I know, as you said,
Yeah.
it doesn't just um,
No,
happen. It's not like all of a sudden, hey, I'm overwhelmed. It gradually comes up.
it creeps in, man.
But I do
Yeah.
feel like there is a triggering, or at least there's normally a few triggering moments, but there's normally a triggering moment where you
Yeah.
go, wait a second, no, no, I don't like this anymore. Enough is enough. Do you know what that can you remember that triggering
Yeah.
moment?
Dude, super clearly. So clearly. I was sitting in a guest house in a town that was about 400 kilometers away from home. And some emergency happened. We were supposed to go on a week holiday, the family. Something happened, like work, like in Fibre, you hit a water pipe and the entire town don't have water, right? And the mayor calls you, right? So now imagine me being at burnout. The smallest thing is a huge thing.
Yeah,
Okay. That happening was my world exploded. Okay. So driving down as fast as I can, breaking a lot of, speed rules. I can tell you that.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I had to pay for a ticket, so I've got evidence of that, how fast I was going. But getting down there, sitting in a guest house, going through the motions, fixing everything, because it's that pride thing of I'll fix this myself. I've got a team of 80 people. I'll fix this myself. How did this happen?
yeah,
It's on me. I take the responsibility, which is fine, but doing it yourself, everything, that was one of the stuff that was just completely wrong. But then sitting in that guest house and going on Facebook just before I went to bed, trying to sleep, the pictures my wife posted of my family being on holiday without me, I was like, this is not life. This is insane. Like, what's the point of this? What's
mm,
the point if I can't even have a day with them? What's the point? And I'm tired. I'm miserable. Everything's overwhelmed. Like, I'm really working hard to have that barrier of this is my house. I'm not going to explode in the house, but there's no way. It's just that wall gets broken down by one person, making a call to you, and then you just snap. And I was just like,
yeah,
this is not how I want my life to be. It was very emotional. I was completely in tears there, right? I was just
yeah,
at a point like, this is not it. Like, this cannot be. If this is life, what's the point of this? It's
yeah.
impossible. You know, that was the moment. That's where I started to say, okay, this is it.
It's awesome that you can actually verbalize it and communicate it so well also, because you're like, this was it. Because I honestly believe that if we don't recognize these moments in time and recognize them for what they are, the positive that it has shifted you to get you to where you are now and to get you to change. And because we have to have these big impact things, otherwise we never take action on it. We always talk about it. And by being able to communicate that so clearly, it makes it so that you can go, when stuff starts to get hard now, you can go, well, it's not as bad as
Yeah,
then.
for sure. For sure.
and and
Yeah, it's
and and also at the same time, you can go, it's not as bad as then. Cool. I don't want to get back to there. So what do I need to do right now in order to make sure that that doesn't happen? That doesn't happen again to that level. Yes, we
yes.
all have these little blips that happen, the blip in the radar that kind of happens and we go backwards a little bit. But if we're conscious and we can communicate these things, then we can actually go, hey, wait a second. Okay, cool. I see a past habit happening here. I don't want to go back to there. And this is why I'm actually thinking about it now. So that's amazing, man. So then you end up going and you sell to this big company. You're doing 9 to 5, going or 8 till 5, and going. This is not me. This is again kind of reiterate, gone back again. That next blip,
Yeah.
which I tell me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't sound like it was
Yeah.
as bad as the first blip. It was in a completely different way. To going, hey, I need help. Now, I want to talk about this for a second because I know there's a lot of guys, especially here in New Zealand and around the world, that struggle to go, hey, wait a second. I know where I want to get to, but I don't know how to get there. but I'm too, a lot of guys go, I'm too proud to, they won't say it, but it's a thing. I'm too proud to actually go, hey, hand up, somebody, do you know how to do this? Okay, yeah, cool. I want to know. Why do you think that you were able to actually do that?
For me, it's here's the thing though. It's really like booking a time with the counselor in your home called the mirror. Right? It's a free call. You can do
Yeah.
it today. And really go like and say, let's just look at past experiences, because that's all we have. I can't look into the future, but I can look at the past. I try to do everything my freaking self, and that got me to complete burnout.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing here that's the issue? That was the conversation. It's like, okay, now I want to get to where I want to be. I tried that. Who failed? Let's get honest. Was it my staff? Was it the customers? Was it my business model? Was it the government? Was it bad luck? Was it whatever? No. It's like first step, taking responsibility. Okay, damn, it was me. Like I taking control. I'm saying, I will not let this happen again to me. I will not go through burnout ever again. I will not spend 18 hours a day not seeing the family. I will not. This is me. This is on me. Okay, and then the question was that counseling call in the mirror, right? Okay, if you can't do it, who can? Let me just, instead of trying to be stubborn and figure things out myself, why? And I think something else to me that was very, very interesting, and really like spending time with myself. I made time for myself. I need to figure this out. I need time with myself. And in that conversations, it's like, why is it okay for us to ask for help in the gym, but it's not okay for us to ask for help mentally? Why is that the case? Why is like, oh, I'm going to see a counselor. Oh, wow, that's terrible. Oh, I'm going to see a personal trainer. Oh, that's amazing. Like, who decided that? It's just you ask for help in something like that, which is so strange. So I don't know how that conversation happened with myself, but it was because I made time for myself. Dude, sitting in traffic, not listening to the negative news on radio, because I was now back at 8 to 5, right? I had a full hour. Saying, okay, what do I want to do with this? I've got 2 hours every day. That's 10 hours a week. That's like that's a day that I have. What am I going to do with that? I started chatting. That was the first step. Then I said, okay. It started very slowly. I'm not jump into it because I had this pride. My dad was actually in the army, and so we grew up with all that stuff. Right? Like, you're a man. Man up. What is this? Which
have a cup of concrete. I remember that one when I was young. Have a cup of concrete. Harden up.
I played rugby. Like, halftime, if I missed 2 tackles, my dad would put me to the side, give me 2 of the best, and go, that's going to hurt more than the tackle you're going to make. So it was that, right? And I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm crying a corner about it. I learned a lot through that. I'm grateful for that. It helped, but there was some stuff that wasn't healthy. So I went from listening to myself 2 hours in the car going, okay, why don't I just go on a podcast and search for some stuff? Because then no one will know, right? It's just me in my car. This is my asking for help. Like, no one will know I'm listening to this positive thing or this or that. So it started like that. And then it became to a point, well, this is really helping me. And then it came to a point where some of the stuff I heard on podcasts, I'll see a colleague at work struggling. I'm like, hey, I heard this. And then that person's like, dude, that's amazing. And then I start to feel better. I'm like, whoa, now I'm helping someone and I'm feeling better. Like, okay, what if I can really sort myself out and really give back? Be that guy, because that's brave. If I may say this in your podcast, that's balls, right?
Balls. It is.
That's the real brave. That's the real like person going out there. And so started to ask for more help, getting a life coach, saying, okay, I've got a coach at gym now. What's the next step then? Well, what's something else I need to do? I need to sort out my mind, because that's even more important than losing weight. Losing weight is important, but if this is messed up, then there's no point, right? So
If
that's how it
your
started.
mind's
It was
messed up, then you'll never keep on the track of losing weight. The
exactly.
mind controls everything. It's the biggest
Oh yeah.
muscle in the body because
Oh yeah.
spiritually, physically, mentally, all of it. It controls
Yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. It was slowly but surely gravitating towards that. And then it became a thing where I'll do whatever it takes. I don't care what people think about it, because at the end of the day, if I get it done, I'll inspire, you
Yeah.
know, and that's important. Yeah.
And you start to see the results. You start to see the results of it all, and it just becomes exponential. So you contacted, you went through all of this. You started listening to these podcasts and that in the car, which then grew into getting life coaching and getting all these other different things, and starting to just soak in it and attract it all in. And then the more we use it, and the more we hear it and get it done on us, then we start to help other people with it. It just concretes it all in, which is
Yeah.
so very true. And then you ended up at what stage of this whole kind of journey time did you reach back out to this young kid? You could call him a young kid that had the Amazon business, that had the lifestyle that you were like, hey, I want
Yeah.
that lifestyle. At what stage did you reach back out to him?
Yeah, that was like after sorting myself out, knowing what I wanted. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call him, because the worst thing that's gonna happen is gonna say no. That's fine. I can handle that now,
Yeah.
right? I'm healthy enough to handle
That's
that now.
that's the key right there. I want to just interrupt you for a second. That is the key right there. We hear this all the time, and I say it all the time. Is what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no, and you're in
Yeah,
the same exact situation that you were in already. So and
yeah,
but it's the key. The key thing is that you need to also accept the fact that you
yeah.
might get told no. And
And this is
if you're unable to be able to accept that, um, and move forward and use it, that's when you definitely want to be listening to podcasts like this one if you're listening, or watching, or other ones where you're just soaking things in, that are positive and uplifting for you, no matter what stage you're at. Sorry for
and something
interrupting.
that helped me with that.
Mm,
If you're afraid of a no, is the way I approached him was just like, listen, man, I'm not sure if you can remember me. We had a brief chat, helped you out with the Fibre there. Before I even ask, you are allowed to say no. I just want to say, like, don't
yeah.
feel bad. Okay. So I'm just addressing it like before I even ask.
Address the elephant
Because,
in the room already.
oh, yeah, let's just get that out of the way. And the funny thing is, just because I did that, like, you'll be surprised, a lot of people won't say it. I gave him permission to say no. And it's funny how some people still say no, for sure. And that's okay. But it's okay for me, because,
Giving him
I made it
permission.
okay.
Yeah,
I
you
already
made it
made it
okay by
okay.
saying, "Hey, it's okay to say no here. I want to put it out there. This is, I'd like this." And
Exactly.
that way you're not feeling guilty as well, because a lot of that fear of things comes from that guilt of pushing on people too much, or a guilt that's an inner child thing from in the past, that is rearing its head back up, that we want to work through, but this is ways to do it. So you went to him, you said you can say no, uh, and tell us what happened next.
Yeah. So from there on, we had a couple of calls,
Hmm.
chatting about it, going like, listen, this is how I do it. This is how it works, explaining the business model from there. But there were so many holes in it, because just, it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to work through. Offered money as well. I'm like, hey, man, how about you coach me? I'm serious about this. I want to pay you for it, because then we both know we're serious. You're serious. I'm
Yeah.
serious. You've helped me so much now. And he was just like, no, nah, he doesn't care about that or whatever. But he was always on a mission, like
Yeah.
traveling, doing this, doing that. And rightfully so, he's earned to do that.
Yeah.
So that's where I decided, what, let me jump online. I'm really looking for, someone that has a blueprint for me,
Yeah.
that I can go, I've done this before. This is the mistakes I made. This is, what works. This doesn't work. So I was looking for expert,
Mm.
someone that's where, you're already there. How did you
Yeah.
get there? You
Yeah.
know? And that to me is, again, that it came back to my Fibre business. Because in the Fibre business, I was the first one to put Fibre into these towns, right? So
Yeah.
I couldn't ask anyone.
Yeah.
So I had to figure things out. And the time it took to do that,
Yeah.
I've wasted, I mean, the 5 years could have been 1 year. Seriously, that's just, if you had someone to guide you, this is what it
Yep,
is.
I know that
Time
one
machine.
well. I've had my fair
Yeah.
share of coaches and still do it, and my
Yeah.
financial advising work now is I'm all about learning from the best, and that's why I'm working at the place that I'm at, because I feel like they're the best and I can learn the best from them. And this time it doesn't actually cost me anything, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Exactly, man.
but
Yeah.
but it is, and you're very right. People have done it before us. Most of the time, people have done some version of it before us, and finding those people that we trust, that can prove it to us as well, is the key thing. That's why I do this podcast, because I've talked to, what is that, like 65 different people around burnout, and they all have something different to say. And some have gone through bigger stages, some have gone through less. So yeah, it is that. So what did what did you find, and what have you created since?
Yeah. So the big thing there is working with Robert and Stephen, the two guys from Ireland.
Hmm.
And, we had a point where we're doing a lot of things. It became teaching people how to sell on Amazon.
Yeah,
Okay. So it became this entire thing. Grew my own Amazon business,
yeah,
first, went through all that. At the time, they already had like crazy massive Amazon business selling globally in all the different markets.
yeah.
But growing my own Amazon business, getting it to where I wanted it to be, and with marketplace, it became this training other people, because so many people had questions and getting bad advice. And for us, it's like, listen, this is something we take upon ourselves. We want to help 100,000 small business. That's our goal: 100,000 small businesses to be successful selling on Amazon and having a choice, because it all comes back to time.
Yeah.
Like not working that crazy hours, not doing that, having time to make decisions, because I think that's the one thing. It's the most important thing. We only have a limited number of time. I don't care if you have $1 billion in the bank. Your time is your time. This is what it is.
Yep.
So we want to give time back to people, because I think that's the biggest gift there is. And we were teaching, and then it became this thing where marketplace superheroes is not just teaching people. We realized that, okay, people are struggling with shipping. What are we going to do? Let's start a shipping company. Invested a lot of money into doing that. Now we're shipping for our audience. So we are bringing our community to ship. We're shipping together. So we're getting the costs down. So everyone wins. We make a little bit of money. They save a little bit of money. Everyone wins. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. And then it's like, okay, you do your photography. So that became a thing. Now there's photographers involved. Now there's designers doing your logos for you. Now it's like, okay, so it's the business just expanded into, here's the blueprint, and then here's all the services you need, everything under one roof. And
That's
now
awesome.
it becomes a business partnership. It's not just a training company, it's partnerships. We had a
Yeah.
point where we're actually investing into people's businesses, Amazon businesses. And yes, I've got the drive, I've got everything. I just don't have enough capital for this. We're actually now investing into our community,
That's awesome.
something called superhero capital, because we don't want money in the bank. That's another conversation, right? Because
Yeah, money in the bank does nothing. It gets you 0% of
exactly,
zero.
you'll tell people, you know what I'm talking about. We want
Yeah,
to put
always
it
you
back
want to
into
have
investment.
multiple streams of revenue, and you want to be invested in a diverse portfolio. And this sounds like that's
Sure.
exactly what you guys are doing. And it sounds
Yeah.
awesome. Before we carry on, because for viewers and even for myself a little bit, what is an Amazon business? How does it work?
Yeah. Yeah. So the big thing about it, we're using FBA. So we're plugging into Amazon's platform, which is huge. They already have the audience, right? So instead of us going and putting a lot of money into marketing and Facebook ads and we're just plugging into Amazon. The clients are already there. So what it is you are buying assets, you're buying a product from
Hmm.
the Far East, typically, it could be, and then you're placing it on Amazon. You're shipping, you're actually buying that, let's say buying 500 units, you're sending that to Amazon US, Europe, wherever you want to send it to,
Gotcha.
and then you have your listing on Amazon and it sells,
Yeah.
because before we do that, obviously, we have a method to see where's the need. Man, people are looking for this. There's already clients waiting. There's not someone providing that product or enough of that product or good enough to that people looking for that. So then we just go place the product there. So we know
Gotcha.
the sales are going to be there.
So what
Or
you're doing is you're finding those things like I'm gonna just throw something out there like a cup holder. I'm just gonna make up some
oh
crap here.
yeah,
You've got a cup holder that a unique cup holder that has skulls on it or something like that, and you're ordering 500 of them. You're that from say China or somewhere in the East or whatever, and then you're shipping them to a warehouse an Amazon warehouse and selling them via Amazon that way. Is that am I correct on that
yeah.
one?
Yeah, that's correct. And then we have our own warehouses. Reason being is we're shipping it. Our storage fees are like way less than Amazon. So that's just
Yeah.
another way, of creating that win-win scenario.
Yeah.
And selling on Amazon. And we're doing that globally. So we'll typically send our products to different markets like Canada, UK, US, France, Italy, Germany,
Yeah.
Australia, not New Zealand yet. We're not there yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
And it, yeah, and something like that. And what I like about that is it's automated, right? Like I'll literally wake up with sales because I was sleeping while the US were buying. It's
Yeah.
just what it is. So
So all you need,
it's
so you need to obviously there's a blueprint which we'll talk about here shortly, how people can kind of get in that. But pretty much, what's the main thing that you need? Say I'm wanting to come to you and I'm wanting to get into this. What is the one thing that I need to make sure that I have before I even come to you?
well, the thing about this is it depends on your goals. I mean, we have things like capital, yeah, but if you want to grow your business, you do need capital. It's not like crazy like starting a coffee shop.
Yeah.
That's expensive, but it depends. If you want to launch one or two products, you will need a laptop for sure. You will need an internet connection for sure. That's the obvious stuff that you need. But you would also need like you have to be like driven towards it. It's a real business, and I think that's where people get it wrong. There's a lot of people saying like, yeah, do this overnight, half an hour a day. No, in the beginning, you're building the business, right? I used to wake up 5 in the mornings, till 7:30, I'll build my business. At nights, I'll build it. It's still faster. I mean, it took a year to get it to a place where I was like, oh, this is now making an impact on my life for sure, So there's still time, but it's we teach it as if you've never started a business ever. We have different levels. If some people come in, they're already business owners. We have something else for them. We can work with them, coach them, help them. But if you never started a business, this is also 100% for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just wanted, listeners to know a little bit more around it in case they are looking at it or say they are in that burned out stage with their 8 till 5 and they're like, hey, I want to start a side hustle. I want to start something different. Yeah. They have an idea of what this is. It's been really interesting today, going from burning out to, to doing what you're doing now. It's for those that are listening, it's a very smart process because when we do our own thing and we get help with it, it is a lot less effort and we get a lot more in return. That can be whether it just be that you want coaching to be able to be good at what you already do and you don't want to be burned out on what you're doing. You want to find, your why, which we'll talk about here in a second. Or it's, hey, I want to be sitting on the beach selling products around the world and drinking Mai Tais while I do it.
Sure, that's exactly, man. Yeah.
There's so many different options out there with the internet now that can make things, can make your life so much easier. So don't give up on yourself. Is kind of what I'm getting to. So Rupert, we talked about this before, I'm a huge why guy. We talked about this before we started recording today. I'm massively into your why. Some people call it your vision statement. I like to call it your why or your why statement. And what I've found out through doing research and doing, working with a lot of different people is we all have a deep-seated why that comes from our childhood. Comes from the things that happen when we're a kid. Mine is my dad going to chiropractic school for me feeling a bit abandoned around that when I was like 3 or 4, and it's created me to want to create less pain in myself and others. That's my why statement. Everything I do, and if I look at everything my entire life, I've been driven by that. And the things that serve that higher, the what's, I enjoy a lot more when I'm focused on that. When they stop to serve that why, that's when I start to not enjoy them. Uh,
Yes.
and I believe that you make your why feed into anything, but there's certain things that light it up even more, and that's the stage two of the why. But Robert, what would you say that your why is, or your why statement would be that has caused you to drive and push so hard and do all the different things that you've done and the things that you enjoyed and still enjoy?
For me, it's two things. The first one is my kids.
Hmm.
That to me is a huge why. And whenever I do the exercise, I get back to that.
Yeah.
It's really like seeing them becoming better than me
Yeah.
in all aspects. That's my number one why, for sure. And then here's another why. This is gonna sound strange to people, right? Like, I want a lot of people to cry at my funeral.
Yeah.
Because the impact I had.
Yeah. So
Like,
it's more the impact.
yeah, it's the impact. It's like having an impact in my circles, my area, the people I get connected with. Like, that to me is so huge. I really want to have a huge impact on people for the positive, because it's not like, oh wow, he's such a nice person. It's selfish. The more I do it, the better I feel about myself.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Rupert. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna do a little bit of thing here with you if you're open and fine with
Yeah,
that.
let's go. Let's do it.
Why is it important for you to make an impact on others' lives?
It's important for me to make impact on other people's lives
Hmm.
because it fuels me. It gives me the feel to do what I do. Because if it's just for myself,
Hmm.
I don't know. I get bored. I
Yeah.
don't, the passion doesn't follow through.
So there, and I want to say this for viewers because I really do think that this is the most passionate thing. Like you said, you have that passion, that why to do things for your kids, but really it's all about impacting your kids.
Mm.
The
Yes.
real
Yes.
number one why is about making an impact to yourself and others.
Mm.
And if you
Yes, that's
actually
true,
think,
man.
if you
Wow.
think, if you think
Yeah.
about this, obviously you're impacting your kids. They came along after you were a kid. I don't think you had kids at 5. Um, but then you also look at Rupert. From what we've talked about today. When you were doing the Fibre stuff, it was all about making an impact to other people's lives by giving them high speed internet and fiber.
Mm. Yeah, it's true.
And then
Man, that's amazing.
and
Yeah, it's
and
true,
then
dude.
then you
Impact.
had kids, and your kids became more important to impact than anybody else. And so as soon as you stopped impacting, you noticed that you weren't impacting your kids. You're like, holy crap, I'm impacting other people that are actually lower on my why list than
Mm.
my kids.
Mm. That's incredible, man. You good, dude? Because here's the thing: like, I had it in a couple of sentences, but one word, insane impact, man.
Yeah.
I've learned this on this podcast for everyone listening. That's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible.
And
That's why a coach, guys, is so important. You guys see this now? You see what's happening here? That's why coaching is incredible. I
yeah,
love it, man.
because you think about what you're doing now with working with the superhero, the marketplace superhero stuff. The
Mm.
impact you're making on lives all around the world, not just the business owners, but the people getting the product. No wonder you get lit up and you don't get burned out with this because it
Yeah.
is your why. So that is awesome. I love seeing people light up when they figure that out, and this is why I love
Oh yeah, dude.
this.
And it's incredible. That happened on this podcast, which is insane. That's what I love about live podcast. Things happen. Anyone listening, there you go. The
Yeah.
proof is there, man. You, you,
It-
you want a coach, you want a mentor, you want someone to, because you can look at yourself, and then once you bounce like this with another human being, man, that's where it just happens, man. I love it.
It so much is. That's awesome, man. So I'm so glad I was able to help you with that.
Thank
Again,
you so much, dude.
remember it. My,
Oh.
my why is about creating less pain. So I've just instantly next decade at
Brilliant.
least you're going to have less pain as long as
Yeah.
the key here for people listening, the key here is once you kind of think that you have it, obviously right there we saw that Rupert was like, oh, my number one why is my kids. Well, no, actually that is right behind that. That is the impact of your why. And
Mm.
we have layers of our why, and the deep layer for you is to make an impact on yourself and
Yeah.
others' lives. Whereas, for your kids, that's the you want to make the most impact on their lives, and so that is the first what. But by doing that, you're doing everything else that you're doing, and it's all about impact. So it's just remembering to shift in that, and this is like Rupert's already said, having a good coach that can guide you on these things. But it's also around the next step is actually making sure that we stay focused on it.
Yeah.
Just like you stay focused on, making sure that you're not going back to where you were and all that. We stay focused on the fact of, hey, when we're having those down days, we go, hey, what was my why again? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. How am I impacting people right now? Oh
Mm.
crap, I'm impacting a ton of people by spending this time on a podcast, by spending an extra 5 minutes on my computer. By not spending 5 minutes on my computer, I'm actually impacting them more because I'm filling myself up by being with my kids.
Yeah.
All of the
Wow.
relation side of stuff with it. Uh, so with all of this in mind, so we can make some more impact today. How can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more, so that they can get impacted and
Yeah,
create
for sure. So
life for
I've, I've
themselves?
got a I've got a link they can book in. We can do a fun call to see, if this is a good fit for you. This is something you want to do. It's www.bettercallrupert.com. So
I love it.
it's something that Robert, he's a big fan of that show. I didn't even
Better
watch the
call
show at the
Saul.
time. Yeah. And he created this link, and I'm like, what is this? And then I started watching. I'm like, what? He's like, man, just call Rupert. He'll help you. I'm
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So
Perfect. I love that. Better call Rupert. We'll put the
yeah.
link in the description down below as
Sweet.
well. That is epic. Also,
Yeah.
if you do want to find out more about the Marketplace Superhero, as we do with all these shows, I want to give back to those that are on here that are taking their time to tell us their story and tell us their journey. See, it's marketplacesuperheroes.com.
That's cool.
And we'll put that link down below as well, so you can go have a look. I've got it pulled open right here. You can get yourself a free 7-day masterclass series with it. It sounds pretty cool. I might have to, just out of curiosity, not that I want to start an Amazon business, but
Yeah.
you never know. But I might even just throw my email in there and just see kind of what it's all about and see how it's gonna. Because here's the thing, guys, as well. When we get this information, we can apply it to so many different things. They're applying it towards the Amazon business. We can apply it towards other things that we're in. We can apply it to our own lives. Some of the business courses that I've done over the years I've applied them to my life and how I actually run my life, and it makes a huge
Yeah.
impact. So
True.
this is how we overcome and prevent ourselves from getting back to burnout, or we get ourselves out of burnout. So Rupert, before we kind of wrap up a bit,
Yeah.
um, what is your number one top tip to self happiness? I like to ask everybody what their number one tip to self happiness is.
Yeah. I can only talk for what helped me.
Yeah.
So I hope this helps you. For me, it was self-worth. Starting
Mm.
to look at self-worth. Like saying yes to everything because I'm an action taker. Great. You really had to say yes to that. Was that good for you? Wasn't that like an abusive relationship where this person was just, completely just abusing you, right? So
Yeah.
it comes down to self-worth for me. It's always have to check that, because I used to be that person just saying, yeah, I'll help you. Yeah, I'll help you. And then it's the cost of what? The cost of myself, the cost of my family, the cost of my time, the cost of it's that to me was self-worth, man. That was something that was a massive, really hit me in the face when I realized, like now it happened today with impact. It was the same, like, oh wow, like what? Like, so this is why this podcast has been incredible. I can't wait to share this with my audience, saying, hey, there you go. This is yeah, this is
Yeah.
what happened being with a coach. But anyway, so yeah, self-worth to me, um, if you have that, the more you have of that, the happier you'll be, because you'll know where you want. And sometimes it's just yeah, man, it's okay to say no. That's
Yeah.
okay. It's fine. It's fine,
Good.
because if you
It's
say
good to
yes, you
say
burn
no
out.
sometimes. Yeah. Otherwise, you burn out. No, I
Yeah.
love that. Self happiness. To get self happiness, you need to have self worth. It's so so
Yeah.
true. Any last words, Rupert, before we wrap up today?
Oh man, I just want to say, like, what an incredible podcast. Like, you helping me, live on a call like this. Incredible. Not scripted, guys. This just happened, which is fantastic.
Mm.
And I want to thank you, man. I want to thank you for your time and helping me today. Like, that's huge. That's huge,
My
man.
pleasure, my
That's
friend.
that's that's so huge. So thank you so much. Love speaking. I made a new friend today in New Zealand, which is what life is all about, which is
It is.
fantastic, man. So thank you so much. And yeah, I hope to have a chat with you soon,
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for your time, and thanks for being here. Thanks for coming onto the podcast and sharing your story. I know for so many it's not easy to share the story, but I do know that the feedback I get from these conversations is that people are like, "Oh my God, I feel so much just more alive afterwards just by
Oh yeah.
sharing, even if there isn't an impact like we had tonight." But I want to reiterate to you guys today, who are still listening to this episode, get out there and just do one thing. Take one thing from this, whatever's popped into that head right now that's popped into you, just take that and run with it today. Then come back and listen. Number two, share this around. Share this podcast around. Get it out to your friends, your family, anybody that you think could pick something up from this, or they just need to hear somebody else's story. Rupert and I were talking before we started recording about somebody that he knows that Rupert can identify that he's going through some stuff, and it's about making sure that those kind of people, you're not telling them what to do. You're just saying, hey, Joe, just have a listen to this. You might relate to something. This guy's an ex-cop or whatever. You kind of need to throw at them so that they can go, oh, actually, yeah, that might be a good idea. But also, if you are needing any help, you saw what we were able to do in 2 seconds here. Imagine if we had an hour. Is reach out if you are looking to find that why, if you're looking to find that purpose, to get your drive back, or to find that drive that you want in your life. Because I remember when people used to tell me, you just need to find what makes you happy, and the money will come. Well, I didn't listen to him for a long time, and then I did, and it is very true. But first, you got to find that why. You got to find why you're driven, why you drive. But even if you want to just reach out and say, hey, thanks for this episode, or you want to say, hey, this episode was crap, cool. Either one, I want to hear about it. Our email is fighttheburnoutpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know. And if there's somebody you want us to interview, put us in touch with them, and we'll be happy to get them on here, because I don't care if you are the CEO of a multi-million, billion-dollar company, or if you work an 8 to 5. We want to get you on here because we want to hear your story. But till next time, again, thank you very much for listening. I've been yabbering on for way too long now, but we love you. Thanks again, and till next time, we will talk to you soon. And remember, train hard, test easy, both physically and mentally, because that's how we keep ourselves moving.